everyone, welcome to my channel. I am Sunny, aka the Oracle of Alexandria, and today I have a very exciting tarot unboxing and review for you of the Broken Mirror Tarot, the 4th edition. So I ordered this from a shop called Tevada. I found them on Etsy, but you can also shop directly through their website. And they import a lot of unique and I would say kind of rare tarot decks that we don't always see a lot of here in the US where I'm at. So this happens to be one of those. It is published by a Chinese studio. I believe it's done by Woe Studio. We'll see when we get inside the box here. And it is absolutely gorgeous. So if you're interested in picking up your own copy of this deck, I will have links down below, of course, where you can find your own if it is still in stock. So the official version of the Broken Mirror Tarot comes in a 2-piece box. And you can kind of see that it's a nice sturdy box, but it also has that really beautiful symbol on the cover that shows up really nicely when the light hits it from a certain direction. It's very cool. The deck overall has very nice presentation, but the cards are playing card quality, so whether or not this is worth the cost of admission will be up to you. So here we have the book, or the instruction pamphlet as it is called, and it says that it was designed by Woe Studio in China. So there's the book and the card backs. Very beautiful. And the inside of the box has cute little moon phase. So something that the website that I purchased this through made clear is that if the version of this deck you get does not come with a 2-piece box, it's probably not an official version. It's probably a bootleg version. Sorry about that. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but a motorcycle just went by, so that's fun. Anyway, so this video is going to be a full-on proper review of the deck and the booklet, and really taking a deep dive into the art of this deck. So if you just want a flip through, I will record one of those separately, and I will have a link to that down below for you, so that if you just want to see a flip through, you don't want to sit through me rambling about the book, that's fine. This video, though, like I said, we're going to take a very close look at the book and then the cards itself. All right. So right away we can see that the book that comes with this deck is nicer than your traditional little white book. It comes with both English and Chinese. So the studio did try to make it accessible for people outside of China, which I think is really awesome. Anyway, the book is loosely formatted. There's no table of contents. It just opens right up into kind of setting the scene for the journey that the book takes you on. There are page numbers, but there's no table of contents, so the page numbers don't really mean anything. I suppose you could, make your own table of contents, like in a notebook or something, if you really needed it. But yeah, as far as formatting goes, this is bare minimum formatting. There's not a lot of information, as you can see here, for each card, and it just kind of flows from page to page. It's not like a single page dedicated to each card or anything like that. So the booklet does give more information than just keywords, as you've seen, but the way the card meanings are given may not be the most useful for new tarot readers. It's presented in a very poetic style, which is very beautiful, but that just makes it harder if you aren't experienced at understanding the meaning of a card in a specific context to kind of figure out what a card might mean. The book is actually fun to read. I read every page of the English portion of the book, and I really did enjoy it. But if you are new to tarot, you will want another book. This book is not going to be enough to get you by. And if this is all you use, you'll probably have some difficulty along the way. I mean, it's serviceable. It works. But for the absolute beginner, I would not recommend this booklet or this deck just by itself. You definitely want another book to help you kind of figure out how to read the cards and understand the cards. Something that I particularly enjoyed while reading this book is that some of the cards have had some very unique meanings given for them. And I wondered while I was reading through it, was this a matter of translation quality, or is this English readers getting a look into the meanings for the cards as Chinese tarot readers understand them? And I thought that was so interesting because there are some really unique interpretations for the cards. And this deck is just a Rider-Waite-Smith, clone, but it's not a clone at all. It does what it does very nicely and very uniquely. Also, I feel I should point out, there are no spreads in the book. There are no instructions for beginners. So that's, again, it just dives right into, you have a couple of little pages here that kind of set up the story the book is going to tell you about the cards and their art. And once you get through these 2 pages here, then it's right into the card meanings. So it's not a great deck for beginners. The artwork is fine. There's a lot that you can draw out of the artwork, which is why I got the deck. I absolutely love it. The book is not the kind of book that a newbie could rely on, though. So something that I found interesting that this book did is that when it comes to the majors, it gives you a small section at the end of each card's portion, kind of giving you the meanings of the imagery contained in the card, or at least some of the imagery. It's not comprehensive. The cards do actually have a lot going on with them. But you get a nice few little blurbs about the dominant energy, I guess, or imagery you could say, with each card for the majors. For the minors, you get quite a bit less information, but it still does give you an idea of what the imagery is kind of getting at. And what's unique about this deck is that each suit for the minors has a unique artistic motif kind of going through the entire suit. And the start of the book for each section tells you what that motif is about. So for this one, for example, the wands, it says that stretched leaves symbolize creation, vitality, and inner entanglement. I will go over this when we go through the cards and show you what each section says, but just to give you an idea of, and it'll make more sense once we actually get into the deck. But I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was a very nice inclusion also. It just kind of adds to that what made this book a joy to read, that unique kind of essence contained within this book. Okay, so with all of that said, let's take a look at what the book has going on here. I was talking a little bit about how it has a very poetic presentation. So the first page here says, "The thing you see is a mirror or a window. Is everything like what you see?" Then the second page, "Come on, coming to this hall, exploring the inner sanctuary, You will see the world you have never seen before. So once it's done with its little setup, we dive right into the meaning of the cards. Again, it's called the Broken Mirror Tarot. So, the window or mirror thing is thematically relevant. So I'm just going to read through the Fool here, and then we will carry on with actually looking at the cards. So it says the Fool. Let's see. Might help if we are in the frame. You came to the first window, it says. Wandering, you look up. A traveler is walking. Where is he going? You ask him if he was going to the sun. He told you that he is going to the Republic. You don't understand. You ask him how he lives without a guide. He laughs at you, as you worry too much as his old dog. He says, there will always be a way. It's not in front of you. It's under your feet. You think his travel is too blind. He thinks you are too timid. And then this gives you an idea of what the imagery means. So it says imagery, the sun, wrapped with the moon. Source, ideal, goal. The bag that the Fool carries, everything you have. The dog, advice or warning. And the fish, danger or freedom. Trees, no way, and life. So I suppose the trees could be something that block your path, for example, and impede your progress. So you can kind of see that the translation leaves a little bit to be desired. It is interesting to read, and I did enjoy it, but it's a little rough around the edges. So that's just another reason why I wouldn't recommend it for someone totally new to tarot. But if you are an experienced tarot reader, you probably don't need a book anyway. But if you did, this book would be serviceable for someone who already knows what they're doing. And it's just a fun read, regardless. So as you can see, the cards come with a nice little plastic band to keep them in place in the box. I like to just slide mine on and off. I know a lot of people like to cut theirs off, whatever floats your boat. So these are the rainbow silver lined cards, and it's very vibrant and very beautiful. I very much like the gilding on this, or the edging, as it were. All right. So let's get a little closer here. All right. So here we have, of course, the first card, the Fool. And right away, I love how the deck is set up kind of like, it's called the Broken Mirror, but the booklet also mentioned a window, and it does look like a stained glass window, and I absolutely love that. But what I love most about this book is just the richness of the art. And you might not notice it at first, like at first glance. But when you really dive into it, it really does have a lot to offer, especially for intuitive readers who like a deck that have very rich imagery that can give you a lot of meanings for the card in a specific context. So I just love the ornateness of the sun here. This is pretty much your standard Fool card with the Fool and his dog going over the cliff, and then you've got the shark down at the bottom. I absolutely love it. Be nice if I could speak clearly. So as you may have already noticed, the backs of the cards, they are reversible. So if you are someone who likes to read with reversals, this deck is good for that. Okay, so next we have the Magician. And I love this. The traditional Rider-Waite Magician has a lot of flowers, and this one, he's got a lot of flowers in his trees. He's got his wand there. I think that is the pentacle on that rock formation in the background, and there's a little dog and maybe a house or something. He's got his sword at his belt, and then his cup is overflowing on the ground. Just absolutely beautiful. I really like the background details as well. Some of the cards really make good use of that. So another thing I feel like I should mention, if it's not clear, the cardstock is, as I said before, it's playing card quality cardstock. This is literally the same as your standard playing card, which is very unfortunate because the deck is so gorgeous that it deserves good playing card or good cardstock. It also has that kind of playing card texture, which you can kind of see here when the light hits it the right way, which is very similar to the Tarot of the Divine, but this is a little more glossy and smooth. It's not quite so rough. Like I can't speak for anyone else's version of the Tarot of the Divine, but my version of the Tarot of the Divine has a very rough feel to it. This is very smooth. So this is the High Priestess. And I just love this kind of like ancient temple feel to the card. So perfect. I love the candles there with her and the stars in the background, the moon on her headdress. Just absolutely beautiful. So this is the Empress. And you can see she's got her moon and stars. She's got some birds there. And instead of the usual Empress and Emperor where they face you directly, this one gives us a little more information. We can see that this Empress here has been cultivating her fields, and she is very abundant. She's got a lot going on. She's also got even extra land kind of in the background there that she can cultivate, and it's just really beautiful. I also love how her crown is done. It's not directly resting on her head. It's kind of levitating. So it's very just I guess kind of futuristic while also being kind of ancient at the same time. I don't know. It works though. I really do love the art and the general aesthetic of this deck. So then we have the Emperor here. It looks like he's got both an eagle on his flag and maybe an eagle resting on top of his flag. So a lot going on there. Let's get the card back in the frame. That would be great. So here you can see he's ruling over his kingdom, and you can see his kingdom is very orderly and structured and well developed. So we get this sense that he is a good leader, but certainly not as abundant as his wife. At least I'm assuming that's his wife. You know, are the Emperor and Empress in Tarot a couple? Good question. Okay, so here we have the Hierophant. And what I love about this card that is so unique is that we get the sense of the Hierophant being the head of a church or a tradition. But instead of the figures in the card that are usually with the Hierophant kind of looking like they are serving him or worshiping him, they are, in fact, they look more like they are kind of like worshiping outside of the church or something. It's very beautiful. I also love how that almost looks like it's a design on his garment itself rather than something outside of himself. But at the same time, if you just look at this portion of the image, you can kind of see that it does look like its own thing. So it's just very unique, very beautiful. So much to offer. So this is probably my favorite card from the deck, and that would be the Lovers. And you have the traditional, the woman with her tree and the snake. And then you've got the traditional man with the burning bush. But what I love about this card, the Lovers has a traditional meaning about choices. And we see here, these two people are reaching for this sphere, and we have to wonder, are they reaching for each other? Or are they reaching for something else? Like, what is this sphere? Is it some sort of goal that they are competing for? Or, there's so much that you could do with it. And I just absolutely love the art and the imagery. And it just captures the meaning of the card, the traditional meaning of the card, in such a unique way. Like, you can see it in the art so clearly and so easily. But you don't have to use it for the choices meaning. You can really do so much with this. All right. Then we have the Chariot. You have a beautiful, rich background. So one thing I will say is that the richly detailed art is pretty consistent throughout all of the deck. It's not just for the majors. And something I find really unique about this Chariot are these, they look like skulls and maybe hands and arm bones, I don't know, leg bones maybe, underneath the Chariot, kind of buried in the earth there. And I think that is just, it's so unique. I'm not even sure what I would read out of that. But there's so much possibility there. And I love all of the background, the buildings in the background and stuff. Like, the Chariot itself is beautiful and definitely stands center stage, but there's so much going on around it. The rich fields, looks like maybe orchards, fruit trees or something. There really is a lot that you can do when reading with this deck. Then we have Strength. It's absolutely beautiful. Again, kind of got this ancient temple thing going on, and then almost like Atlas holding up the world. What I find so interesting about this version of Strength, though, is that the world that he's holding up is beautiful. It's serene and idyllic, but then the world around him is so chaotic. And you can see that he might be struggling to carry his burden, but he's persevering, he's working through it, and by doing so, the result is something really beautiful. Again, just such a unique take on the cards, the traditional Rider-Waite imagery. So here we have the Hermit, and what I love about this Hermit is that she has this entire other image, this other scene contained in the sleeve of her robe. And the water here could be like a scarf or a sash or something that she has just kind of falling down. It's so beautiful. And so, the Hermit is frequently understood as a card about introspection, going within and focusing on yourself, your self-development, and your goal. And here we have her face. She looks very much like she could be meditating or focusing on something. And she's got, of course, her traditional lantern there in her staff, which is just beautiful. But then we can almost see in her sleeve here what is going on. Like, she's isolated. She's going off to a lonely place in the woods, and she's very dedicated to whatever her path is, whatever she's doing. It's just really beautiful. I'm sorry, I'll try not to spend so much time on every card, but this is why I bought the deck. I just love the artwork so much. So here we have the Wheel of Fortune, and this one is set up. You have the 3 fates here. So you have the 2 fates on each side, and then you have the 3rd fate kind of here in the background. And the golden things appear to be the threads that they are weaving, the threads of fate. And what is really interesting is that you have the eye here, right at the top, and this is the eye that the fates share, that single eye. So It's really just an awesome interpretation of the imagery. You've even got the scissors that the fate uses to cut the threads, and just beautiful. So now we have justice. Very interesting and unique interpretation of justice. So it almost looks like some of the panes in the window or the mirror are broken out, and we're getting some of the background through the stained glass window or mirror itself. So you've got a dragon here with castles burning in the background. You've got a lighthouse. I mean, you've got so much to draw on. You've got these doves here on top of Justice herself. You've also got some storm clouds in the background, and again, another castle, the tail of the dragon. I mean, it really is amazing. So this is the Hanged Man. And again, I just love all of the stuff going on in the background. It's hard to tell. Is that a spectator watching the Hanged Man be hung up? Or this almost gives me a feeling of the crucifixion here, because the way it's done with the scale, all of this could be going on in the background behind the Hanged Man, or maybe even within his own mind. Maybe he is seeing something, memories, but then you have, the way it's done, this looks like, like I said, it's very crucifixion imagery to me. And it almost looks like that's the guy who's ready to thrust the spear into the side of Jesus, and just, it's really unique, very interesting. And that's just the energy that I kind of get from the card. Every reader is going to get their own impressions from the cards, and there's just so much that you can take from the artwork. So here we have death, and we've got, looks like ravens or crows in the background. And then you've got the figure of death with a king up here and a very dark, scary looking moon. What I love about this version of death, though, is the lower half of the art in this card. You've got this doorway. And in many traditions, death is kind of understood as an initiation into another world. Particularly, a lot of pagans will talk about the other world as a place where the souls of the dead go. And for me, this card captures that so beautifully, but you also have that very traditional Rider-Waite imagery there with death and the king and all of that. And it's just so unique. Just, this deck really speaks to me. So here we have Temperance. And what's interesting here is that you've got sort of a gender swap, but not really. You've got two people instead of one. And then the woman is pouring water from the vase, pretty traditional Temperance. And then it's falling upon the hand of the man. And, it's hard to tell. Is he protecting that little plant down there? But also you have this idea of polarities. Not just in the man and the woman figures, but like two forces meeting and mixing and touching. You've also got the sky up here and the birds. And then you've got all of these trees. And so it's very much rooted imagery while also having that heavenly imagery. And it's just absolutely amazing. Then you've got, the living tree and the dead trees. So you've got all of these different polarities, life and death, masculine and feminine, rooted or grounded energy, and then more celestial energy. And it's just a fantastic version of Temperance. In case you can't tell, I am this is why I collect tarot. I just love this. Okay, so here we have the Devil. And it's just a really unique interpretation of the devil. So often the devil is about control, and usually figures in the card itself are chained, but in such a way that they could easily escape. In this one, you have this sort of chaotic realm where the devil exists. And then you have a woman here in this boat, and there's chains falling down, and then there's a man reaching for the chains. So you very much have this sense that there are two doors here. He could leave at any time, but he's choosing to stay. And if anyone has ever been in a relationship where, you've had this person, you think, if I can just help them change. That's very much the imagery, the energy that I get from this card is that sort of feudal relationship energy, along with the traditional devil meanings. And just having to make that choice, like, are you going to stay for someone who really needs to work through their own baggage, I guess you could say? Or are you going to just continue on your own journey? Like, it really is a lot to get out of these cards. So here we have the Tower, and we've got one man falling outside of the tower, and one man is still within the wreckage of the tower. And unlike the usual, there is lightning, but the lightning is not striking the tower. The lightning is not what is destroying the tower. The tower is being destroyed by a kraken or some sort of sea monster here. You can kind of see its eye down there. I think that is just so amazing. What's interesting is that, change is inevitable with this one, but like you have a guy kind of clinging to the past despite the chaos and the change going on around him. Then you have another guy kind of diving headfirst into, whatever this change is going to bring. So really just great, great, great art. So of course, next is the Star. And this one is another one that they did a sort of gender swap thing, which is the Star is one of my favorite cards. It is a very important card to me. And so I don't really like it when the Star is gender swapped. But that said, the art is still absolutely beautiful. You've got a little horse and a wagon back there. You've got a beautiful kingdom. And what I like about the kingdom there is that it looks like there's a sort of signal fire on top of the building. So you have that theme of a guiding light with the star repeated twice at least. I mean, this man and his flute and these birds, like, is he calling the birds to him or something? Like, really, there's just so much you could get out of this deck. So now we go into the Moon. I really like the addition of the sea here, the boat on the sea, using your intuition to guide, trusting, but also ideally receiving that illumination and stuff. Like, and I guess this is another one that may be gender swapped. I'm having trouble picturing the traditional moon, but I just absolutely love it. Here's another card that's absolutely gorgeous, and another gender swapped card. So you have the sun here, and you've got looks like flower petals in the sun. Let's see if I can stabilize this. There we go. So, and then you've got all of these beautiful butterflies with this dancing woman figure in the sun. Then she's got an encampment behind her with, she looks like she's in a very beautiful place, very idyllic, and she's well set and ready to go. Then Judgment. So we have that traditional imagery of an angel blowing a horn for judgment and people being resurrected, sort of. So that looks like a sort of clerical figure, like a pope or something. The sheep, I do wonder if those are meant to symbolize believers or followers. Are they sheep? Maybe they're goats. I think they're sheep, though. And there's another little figure, oh, two more figures down there by that city there in the background. So just absolutely beautiful. All right. And last but not least, the world. So what's unique about this version of the world is that we have two worlds here kind of combined into one, which I know I've said it so many times, but I love that so much. So you've got the traditional lion and the eagle that we see in the world card. We've even got a sort of feminine figure here. And you've got the bull. I believe there is a fourth animal that's missing, and I can't recall what it is off the top of my head. So if you know it, and if you see it, please point it out to me, because it is slipping my mind. But just absolutely beautiful, like two worlds becoming one and just completing each other. You know, you've got, again, polarities of like civilization and wilderness, and just, it's really an incredible deck. Very amazing artwork. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and set the discarded majors aside. So I wanted to show you guys what I was talking about with the booklet having these artistic motifs going through all of the suits. So for the suit of swords, you have these ribbons, and the booklet here will tell you. So it says, Minor Arcana, Swords, Imagery. The picture is late at night, enlightenment, exchange, night, inner exploration. And then it tells you the red ribbon symbolizes restraint or shackle. Note whether it breaks. So it's kind of telling you to pay attention to the ribbons and the artwork for additional meanings of like the energy of the card. Is it restrained or is it free flowing? And you'll see more of that as we go along. But the deck does this for each suit, and I absolutely love it. So we have the Ace of Swords here. And you've got a lot of the traditional imagery. You've got the crown up there. You've got greenery. I don't think that's meant to be the traditional palm or laurel, and then you've got the red ribbons, and some of them are broken and some of them are still intact. But what's unique, or very interesting, at least to me, is that the landscape is dead, but the sky is full of clouds. So you have this sense from this card that it's not about material, like multidimensional living in the world. It's about thoughts. It's about the internal world. It's about thought processes and our mind, and just that is really well conveyed in all of the cards in the suit. And I absolutely love that. I am going to sound like a broken record, but I really do. I adore this deck so much. And that's what makes it a shame that the card stock is so thin and flimsy, that it's not going to stand up to a lot of abuse. So here we have the Two of Swords, and we have this woman. She's got 6 arms, so very similar to like a Hindu deity. And she's got her own eyes covered. She's not blindfolded like she is usually in the Two of Swords. She's covering her own eyes. And then she has her 2 hands kind of pointing down here, and one wrist is bound and the other is free. And then she's got the 2 swords, and again, one wrist is bound and one wrist is free. So you have this sense depicted quite clearly in the art that there may be a sort of a stalemate or an impasse on some level. And if you could just compromise, if she would use the hands that are free, she could free her other hands that are bound. And if she would just remove her own hands from her eyes, it's almost like the 8 of Swords. If she would just uncover her own eyes, she could progress, but she's keeping herself imprisoned here. And I just absolutely love it. It's just very, very, very brilliant and very unique. Okay. So the traditional Three of Swords, although untraditional, we have here a man maybe stabbing himself or maybe stabbed by someone else through the heart twice, and then he is carrying the third sword. And notice that all of his ribbons are intact and unbroken. So very interesting. I always love it when decks put a little more effort into cards that most decks will skimp on. So the Three of Swords, the Eight of Wands, the cards that are almost always identical to the Rider-Waite in so many decks. Like, I love it when they do something different. So here we have the Four of Swords. And you definitely get that sense of rest and rejuvenation. But there's still that sense of, something hanging over you. What I love, though, is that he is supported here. Like, he is resting easy. He is being maybe divinely supported, or, but he is supported by the world around him in this process of just resting and rejuvenating and getting back to full strength. All right, the Five of Swords. So this one, again, so unique. So the ribbons are kind of coming out of the mind almost of this figure down here. And so you get this sense of, no, I usually equate this with the Five of Wands, but we do get this sense of like conflicting thoughts or ideas, which I really love. It really does fit the nature of the suit of swords quite well. And so you have these sort of figures emerging from his thoughts, fighting with each other. It's just amazing. Okay, the Six of Swords. So this one is very different. Normally you have the woman riding in the boat, or, a figure or two riding in the boat. Here she's kind of hovering over the water, reaching for the boat. And then the swords are kind of arrayed around her. But what's interesting is that she is bound. So, what sort of energy are you getting from that artistic motif running through the suit here? Like, it's interesting that he chose to depict the Six of Swords as bound. And then here we have, of course, the Seven of Swords, a card that can mean sneaking off or moving freely. He is not bound. And he's doing quite well for himself, too, with all those swords. And the Eight of Swords. So it really is beautiful. He's maybe a little more bound up than your usual Eight of Swords figure, but he's still, like, if he would just take a chance, he would still be able to move. He would still be free. Alrighty, the Nine of Swords. Absolutely beautiful. The Ten of Swords. So in this one here, the figure is not impaled by all the swords, and as a matter of fact, it's hard to tell. Are they being stabbed at all? Or are the swords merely penetrating their garment? It's very, very unique. There really is so much that you could kind of draw out of the artwork. And then the Page of Swords. He looks very triumphant and vigilant and ready to go. I love how the tree down there almost looks like hands. So again, a figure who is supported. He also looks so accomplished, like he's put in the effort to get where he is. He's not a king, but he is a page, so he's achieved something. Now we have the Knight of Swords. And again, I just love this imagery. And of course, the Knight of Swords moves freely. All of his ribbons are broken. Here, the Queen seems to be ornamenting herself with her ribbons. So again, you have that sense that she is free to do what she wants. Nothing is holding her down, that she doesn't will it. And then, of course, the King of Swords. And the tree hands have kind of grown up bigger. And he doesn't have a ribbon at all. Like, he's apparently not into the ribbon. All right, let's see. So now we're on the Suit of Wands, and this is the order that the deck came in directly from the factory. So the book goes in the traditional wands, cups, swords, coins order. The deck itself is placed in a different order, though, when you receive it. So it says here, Minor Arcana, Wands. The picture is dawn, the beginning of life, vitality, energy. Stretched leaves symbolize creation, vitality, and inner entanglement. So there's a lot going on between the stretched leaves. There's a lot that you can kind of read out of it. And here we have the Ace of Wands. I like how the sword, I'm sorry, the sun is kind of embedded into the end of the wand there. That is so just unique and different. And then we have the Two of Wands here. You really get that sense of planning for the future with this card. Like, she is full on visualizing and manifesting what she wants to build. The Three of Wands. So this one is interesting. Usually, I understand the Three of Wands as taking practical steps to reach your goal. Like the two is the planning process. The three is actually doing the work. And the art on this one is just interesting. Like, you kind of get that sense of doing the work here. This animal figure wants to get up to that tree, I guess, but it needs to figure out how. And meanwhile, this merchant down here in the boat, they've got their three wands and they've got all of their, I guess you'd call that stretched leaves surrounding the wands. And, they seem to be doing good. So the Four of Wands. Pretty standard Four of Wands. I mean, it's not just copy paste from the writer, but it's not pushing the boundaries of traditional Four of Wands imagery or anything. So the Five of Wands, I really like this, how even the wands look magically engaged in the battle. Alrighty, the Six of Wands. I really do hope that one day they publish a version of this deck with the cardstock that it deserves. It kind of seems like the publisher is wanting people to purchase the new editions every so often. And if they use the deck a lot, they're going to need it because it's not going to take a lot of abuse, especially if you shuffle, traditional riffle shuffle and everything. It's probably not going to stand up to much. I know some professional tarot readers who shuffle that way, and they go through a deck a month easily if they use the same deck for every reading. So it is unfortunate, but the artwork really deserves much nicer cardstock. So this is a 7 of Wands, and it's a little more difficult to make out that kind of like holding the high ground, defending your position. But it does look like a battle has gone on for sure. Okay, and then we have the 8 of Wands. So the artist did something unique with the 3 of Swords, but didn't really hit the mark for me with the 8 of Wands. So it's still beautiful, it's still unique, but I don't know, it doesn't really capture that idea of directed energy for me. I mean, I suppose it could, but I don't see it as clearly as I do with the traditional 8 of Wands. So the 9 of Wands. Not a whole lot going on this one, but you do get that. I mean, he doesn't look very beat up, so it doesn't look like he's been through a lot. But he's got his 9 wands, kind of, or at least 8 of them, set out there in front of him. So he's definitely persevering. He's doing the work in some level. Okay, and then the 10 of Wands. So again, not a whole lot going on with this one. I do really like how he's not carrying all the wands already. With the 10 of Wands, we often have that meaning of being burdened by too many obligations. And here he is choosing which obligations to pick up and carry. So when you interpret it, you've got a lot more flexibility where he's not totally burdened, but he could become burdened if he takes on too much. So I really love that flexibility there in the 10 of Wands. And then the Page of Wands. I love how he's kind of coming out of a seed. His stretched leaves are growing out of a seed. And then we have the Knight of Wands. I do wish the knights had their horses, but we can't have everything, and it is absolutely beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The Queen of Wands. She's got her sunflowers. She almost looks a little bit like a Queen of Coins there with so much greenery. And no wands. The Queen of Wands doesn't have a wand. Okay, and then the King of Wands. Again, very King of Coins looking, but still gorgeous. And you do get that sense of growth with the wands, the suit of wands, growth and development. So it does capture that really well. Okay, so now we have the Ace of Cups. It's very traditional Ace of Cups. It's still absolutely gorgeous. I love the lilies there. I know it's very common to use lilies either as the suit of cups, like a substitution for cups, or just using lily artwork or lotus artwork in the suit of cups. That is absolutely my favorite thing when tarot artists do that. So, all right. The Two of Cups. Oh, I forgot to check the book. Let's see. We need to know what is our artistic motif that's going to be repeating throughout, and what does it mean? Okay, so for the cups, it says imagery. The picture is night, due to calm, love, emotional communication. The stars symbolize inspiration, relationship, and the clouds symbolize unrealistic or illusory. Did you get that? I'm having a little trouble fully understanding what they intend with that, but I mean, I think you can kind of see it in the artwork of the cards, and it does make sense when you're actually looking at the cards, but when you just read it worded that way, it is a little difficult to. I love how there are not just two birds, but also two fish, and you've got a tree and a building there. Okay, and then we have the Three of Cups. The couple from the Two of Cups have come together with a friend of theirs, and looks like she's got a harvest of wheat and he's maybe got pumpkins or something. Some sort of melon or squash or... So not a whole lot going on, not as much artistically going on in the minors as the majors, but they're still absolutely beautiful. So here we have your Four of Cups, and you've got one cup kind of carried in the clouds there. The three behind him. So is he dreaming of what he doesn't have? Just... Alrighty, the Five of Cups. I love how the water is kind of pouring down here. And then two of the cups fell from the sky. So you still get that sense of loss, but he is focusing on what he still has rather than worrying about the two cups that have fallen, which I think is unique when it comes to the Five of Swords. Normally we see a figure who's kind of bereaved, who's more worried about what was lost rather than what remains. And this deck does the total opposite, kind of flips that on its head. So I love that. All right, the Six of Cups. So this is another one for me that doesn't really hit the mark, because you don't get that sense of reminiscing or kindness or, the child giving. I mean, I don't know, this just kind of seems celebratory to me almost. Yeah, I'm not seeing it with that card, but I know my meanings, so I guess I don't really need to see it. Can always go by rote. The Seven of Cups. And again, this is another one that I'm not fully, the art really isn't fully resonating with me in terms of the traditional card art and meaning. Like, she's definitely reaching for something, but you don't have that strong sense of making choices. She seems more like she's supporting a bunch of things. I don't know. Now I'm reading a little too much into the imagery because it's not resonating with me as strongly as it did in the earlier cards. But the Eight of Cups. Again, we have our lotus flowers. And really, this just, like, almost this captures the Seven better than the Seven did. And it doesn't, I can see the Eight of Cups in this. I can see the traditional imagery and meaning of it. It's just not quite as well communicated as some of the other cards. Like, some of the other ones are absolutely brilliant. And this one, I don't know. The Suit of Cups has me grasping a little for what they mean with the art. So now we have the Nine of Cups. It's very beautiful. This one is definitely spot on with, the idea of your wishes coming true and having everything that you dreamed of. And then the Ten of Coins. So you just have the figures from the Two of Cups and the Three of Cups back together again. Maybe celebrating their wedding or, building their life together. And then the Page of Cups. I like the addition of the planets and the the fish kind of jumping into his hands. It's really cute. You can sort of see that messages, like the fish coming in, or even like psychic messages. I know that some readers understand the element of cups as a sort of psychic element. And so the addition of the stars and the planet and the star formations there certainly capture that energy. Then we have the Knight of Cups. And he is definitely very romantic. He, or maybe she, little buff, but I mean, they, maybe they are they. Either way, absolutely beautiful. And I certainly see that kind of heartthrob imagery there. The Queen of Cups. I love how she's holding the little goldfish. And then those look to be like crystals or something. I really love that. It's very beautiful. So the Queen of Cups seems a little plain compared to other queens and court cards in general throughout the deck, but I still really love it. Then, of course, the King of Cups. And again, you've got that like sort of psychic crown or high-tech crown that just sort of levitates on his brow rather than resting there. I absolutely love it. It's beautiful. So the Suit of Cups isn't a total loss, but there were quite a few cards in it where I wasn't feeling it. Okay, so then we have the coins. Let's see. Intention. The picture is dusk, harvest, comfort, enjoyment, greet. The coins symbolize wealth and time. There's actually additional text here that wasn't there for any of the other. Oh, okay, I see. Usually there's sort of a line break between. So I'm not going to read that, but you are welcome to read it if you would like to. All right. So I guess the motif of this suit is just the coins itself, I suppose. I also like how each suit is kind of associated with a certain time of day. So this is the Ace of Coins. And very beautiful. Notice the two little ships down there and stuff. It's okay. The Two of Coins. So this one, again, like the Two of Swords, really does a great job of capturing this idea of juggling or balancing. Interesting how there's the inclusion of some kind of bird of prey, but also a ram or a sheep or a goat. I'm not sure, but it's cute and it's interesting. Then the Three of Coins. So this one here, working with others, I like that you have not only people working together for the teamwork, but you also have like animals working together and humans and the divine. Guess you could almost understand it to be like mind, body, and soul kind of working together in a sense. I don't know. It's interesting. I would definitely have to think about that one more. Alrighty, the Four of Coins. So this one definitely captures the traditional imagery of the Four of Coins here, but sorry. The dog is on alert. She's on vibrate. Anyway, so this definitely captures the traditional meaning and imagery of the Four of Coins here. doesn't really convey it in the traditional way, which could be good or bad. I mean, she doesn't necessarily have to have her money in that box. It could be anything, but still, it's beautiful. I love it. Okay, the 5 of coins. A pretty typical 5 of coins there. I do like how it's almost like the tower in the image is supported on his cloak in a way. It's very thought-provoking imagery. I'm not even sure like what to fully make of that, but it's beautiful. Okay, the 6 of coins. The 7 of coins. You really get this. It's a little hard to see. The coins kind of blend in with the lighting and the background and stuff pretty well, but you still get the whole idea of reaping what you've sown. And okay, the 8 of coins. So this does sort of convey the working hard at what you love idea, but I don't know. Like if he's supposed to be a fisherman or a fisher person, are they working hard? They don't seem very alert. I don't know. It's cute anyway. The 9 of coins. This one definitely has that traditional imagery in the 9 of coins, but you see a bit more of the landscape around the figure usually. You can see that they are really sitting pretty. Okay, the 10 of coins. I wonder if that's meant to be a dog with the person with the infant there. Very interesting. Yeah, I guess it is a dog. It's beautiful though. They have a nice home with a water wheel and their 10 coins and their tree bearing fruit. Okay. Now the page of coins. Very, very beautiful. The Knight of Coins. Almost sort of like a Zelda Triforce there, Legend of Zelda. Sorry. Okay. It's beautiful. I love the coin, the imagery on the coin and stuff. And you definitely get a sense of like this knight being more rooted or fixed in his energy. The Queen of Coins. I love her dress. I'm a sucker for big floofy dresses. And she's got her flowers with her, of course. You know, the Queen of Coins is a nurturer. She takes care of her garden. And then we have the King of Coins. And he doesn't look as fruitful or abundant, like almost Dionysian, the way the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith King of Coins does, but he's still very handsome. And all right, so that is the deck. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me and listening to me ramble about the Broken Mirror Tarot. I would love to hear your thoughts on this deck. Now, I will admit I paid $79 for this, and I think with the cardstock being the way it is, I'm not sure it's worth more than $50 or $55. It's very well done. The art is gorgeous. The presentation is amazing. But the cardstock itself, since that is kind of one of the more important aspects of the deck, depending on how you shuffle your cards, it could be an issue. So I would like to see either a version with better cardstock that's actually going to stand up to regular use, or a price decrease wouldn't hurt either. Anyway, so yes, if you've made it this far, thank you again. Please do share your thoughts with me in the comments. I would love to hear what you think of the deck. Which card was your favorite? Mine definitely got to be either the Sun or Lovers for this deck. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. And as I said, I will have the flip through if you just want to see the flip through down below. And please, I look forward to having you join me in a future video. So take care.